Hi everyone and welcome to Sports Around the Globe with Shai Boker. I am your host, Shai Boker, alongside Ryan Kelovich, who's zooming in. Uh, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Shai? How's everybody?
All is well. Except, of course, we know Corona killing the basketball world.
Indeed, that's a big problem. Hopefully it will be back sometime soon, but there's no date given, both for European basketball and NBA basketball.
Yeah, in Florida, they made basketball an essential service. I mean, they made sports an essential service. A little crazy for this time, considering the U.S. has been hit maybe the hardest of all countries.
True, but people need some entertainment, and I guess that sports the most basic entertainment for people.
Yeah, very true. I honestly, it's hard to do things without sports. I never imagined this.
True, nobody imagined such a situation.
Yeah. So let's talk about its effect on. First of all, let's start with the NBA. That Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert thing that shut down the NBA. So
Yep.
Rudy, go ahead.
The Thunder were playing the Utah Jazz, and then the game suddenly didn't even start. Everybody wondered what's going on, and at the end of something like 15, 20 minutes, we got to know from the public announcer at the game, and as well from the broadcasters, that that Rudy Gobert was tested positive for coronavirus, and everybody else had to go into isolation. So that was the beginning of the end of the NBA season for the time being, and following that, the European season.
Yeah, a very interesting thing he did right before that game, touching the journalists' microphones. That's not okay. I mean, I'd be going crazy too
Yeah.
if someone did that to me and had coronavirus.
Yeah, but if you look, he's a funny guy. He was joking, and he never imagined that he was carrying the virus.
Yeah, that's very true. But still, in this day and age, I guess you got to be more cautious than funny.
True, but that was the beginning of this whole process. At first, nobody really knew what's going on. So now everyone knows. Now everybody's practicing social distancing, and now it's different than it used to be.
Yeah, the one of Belgrade's arenas has turned into a quote unquote hospital.
True.
Which is crazy.
It's sad, but these places can be used for such events as they're big. So that's what they do with these empty arenas.
Do you believe that the EuroLeague will come back one day this season? Because I know players don't.
I believe that the EuroLeague will be back the beginning of next season, like what FIBA are planning with the Champions League. There'll be a kind of tournament. At first, they'll have to finish the games, but I think it will be back because due to these rights holders agreements, you need to end the season. So the season will end, but I doubt that the season will end this season. The season will only end right before next season begins.
And then right away they'll begin the following season. Sounds crazy, but I guess that's the best case scenario. Although, if we've seen what Aaron Jackson has tweeted, yeah, he's not too happy about EuroLeague even thinking about resuming this year.
Yeah, but I think that he's realistic.
Yeah, your thoughts on Tyrese Rice retiring? Of course, we know what he brought to
Well,
Maccabi.
he was left without a choice but retiring. So it's too bad. And of course, he's a memorable Maccabi player. And I happen to have seen him playing for Panathinaikos against Real Madrid when I was in Madrid. So that's another anecdote.
Yeah, one of my favorite players ever. I used to watch him on TV when he played for Boston College. Uh, he would drop 40 nearly every time that I watched it. I was
Mhm.
like, okay. The minute he signed with Maccabi, I just knew Maccabi was destined for great things, and eventually they won the EuroLeague that season in 2013,
Yeah,
2014. And of
a
course,
memorable season.
yeah, I got to interview him when Pau was here this season. Awesome guy. Uh, Holds a really special place for Maccabi fans in the city. Just, it's too bad he's retiring. He's so talented.
Yeah, he could have played another three years at least.
I agree with that. And is the definition of heart over height.
True.
I thought way back then when I saw him in college that he could actually make the NBA. Of course, he was never drafted, never made it to the NBA, but still, he's had a great career.
Indeed. But I think his best times were at Maccabi.
Yeah, for sure. But you can't discount the 41 points against Olympiacos this season with Pau in the overtime victory in the EuroLeague.
As well. Yep.
99-87. He was making every shot that I'm so used to seeing. Yeah. So also, Ante Tomic didn't seem too pleased about EuroLeague ever coming back this season.
No, it seems like the EuroLeague players are not too keen in having the season resuming now, but therefore I think it will happen beginning of next season.
Yeah, but what do
So
you do
it's
next
as well.
season? What do we do next
It's
season
logistic.
with all players like out of contracts and new players in?
Well,
Did the new players start the previous season, or did they start the new season?
the new season. That's how it will be. The players will start the new season. It won't. The teams won't be the same teams. That's how I see it.
That's sad considering how hard some of the EuroLeague teams have worked this season.
True, but the circumstances are different than anybody ever thought would be.
Let's put this hypothetically: had the coronavirus not become a pandemic, what would have happened with Maccabi's season this season? You and I both covered them. Are they a Final Four team?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, Maccabi with their fans in any hostile environment in the Final Four could go all the way. Without fans, I'm not sure. It's a different
True,
thing.
but due to the fact that the season won't resume now or in a few months, I don't see games being played without fans in basketball, at least.
Yeah, let's hope that the EuroLeague resumes before July, though, somehow, some way. That would be
Hopefully,
fun.
the league games. That's what I would say. The Final Four, I do not see it happening before October, something like that.
Or they should just do a Final Eight like they do in the Champions League and just
I
play
doubt
that.
that they'll be able to do that because you have all these games to be played. So I find it's either going to be played until the end, or they will totally scrap this season, which
Yeah,
would be really sad.
and I mean 6 through 12 is so close. All those teams battling for a playoff spot. It wouldn't be fair to either one of them. But what I
Exactly.
still don't understand from the standings is how Maccabi is behind the CSKA Moscow. That to me makes no sense.
Because there was no return game, meaning they only played each other once, and it's on baskets. It's on the difference in points. I think that's why. That's it.
Yeah, it's not right, but whatever. We'll have to deal with that later if the season does actually resume. We'll
Yeah.
take a
At the
break.
moment, that's academic.
Yeah, we'll take a break and be back for the next segment coming up next. Welcome back to Sports Around the Globe with Shai Boker alongside iSports Roy and Kilovich. We are back here. Now we're going to talk about Deni Avdia, Phil Maledon as the main two top prospects out of Europe. And at the end, we'll tell you the news about another Israeli that popped his name into the draft a few moments ago. So, yeah, Deni Avdia is the biggest prospect in Europe. There's no doubt about it. But let's put it this way, Phil Maledon isn't too far away.
No, he's not. But Deni, for us, is a much bigger story. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's probably the most talented Israeli that ever grew here in terms of his potential.
True.
I mean, we've seen big names before. Of course, one notable one that at the end did not go to the NBA is Miki Belkovic, arguably
And
one of the best ever. And of course, veteran Omri Caspi, who currently plays for Maccabi. He just came back to Israel from 10 years in the NBA, won a ring with the Warriors. I don't know if we should put a star around it, but, he's never played a playoff game.
True, but still he had a very a good career in the NBA. It wasn't his fault that he had to leave the Warriors.
Yeah, of course. Injuries are a killer to anyone's career. But, I mean, good thing the Warriors gave him that ring, because if anyone deserved it on that team and got cut right at the end of the regular season, it's none other than Caspi, who did a great job filling in for key players when they needed it most.
Exactly, and all-around player. Caspi was always liked by his coaches.
Yes, that's true, except for his second time in Sacramento. I'm not going to go into details on that, but let's put it this way. I've heard from people firsthand about it. And yeah, it's sad.
Yep.
So now let's talk about those two top prospects, Avdia and Maledon. Avdia, there's no doubt how good he can be. The question is, where will he go in the draft? The question is, will there be a draft?
I think there will be a draft, but the issue is the draft may not be as we know it. The draft may be online. It may be a Zoom draft. It may be a draft without the people being there. At the moment, Deni hasn't registered himself yet for the draft, so that's another issue. But the deadline is not near yet, as there's no date even for the draft. So I believe that he will register for this year's draft.
I saw online that it's around somewhere between the 21st and 26th of April. But, of course, with the corona situation, we're not sure what's correct and what isn't. But as far as I know, for college basketball players, it's up until the 26th of April that they can either put their name in and they can take it out by June 15th, no later, if they want to return to their colleges. And,
so we will see.
Yeah. Of course, Avdia has been linked to so many different teams. The Knicks are fantasizing about him, the Warriors, maybe, the Hawks, maybe, the Cavs even. Where do you think he'll fit in best?
I somehow think the Cavs, because Liron Fanan works there. His agent is connected to her. So that's my feeling. I'm not talking about teammates. I'm just thinking about fitting into the organization. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with that, considering the tradition Maccabi and the Cavs have had over the years. Anthony Parker's played for both franchises, Omri Caspi, Jeremy Fargo, and even, I'm borderline saying this, Roman Sessions.
For a short
Of
time.
course, one game with Maccabi doesn't really count.
Yeah.
And of course, there's another big name who's been in both organizations, David Blatt, coached both teams.
True.
Got fired by
True.
LeBron.
Who today it was announced that he parted ways with the New York Knicks.
Yeah. I mean, the Knicks would part ways with anyone. They can't keep
Yeah.
anyone anyways. It's a sad situation that is going literally nowhere. And the question is, will it go anywhere as long as James Dolan has them? And I don't think that to be true. Speaking of James Dolan, a couple of weeks ago, he came down with coronavirus. And Knicks fans were both happy and sad about it, but mostly happy, which is cruel.
Yeah.
But I mean, I understand that they don't like it. But you shouldn't be happy about someone who has coronavirus.
Exactly.
Look at the comments. It's fun. It's funny. But,
Always. Talkbackers having fun.
yeah. So Phil Manadon is borderline lottery pick. He's been averaging 7.4 points per game and assisting as well as some of the best point guards in Europe. Plays a solid defense, can drive to the hoop. The question is, which team will take it? Which team doesn't have a point guard that can have an immediate impact? And I'm not sure there is a team for that right now, but I know that regardless of the competition, he could probably make it into a starter within 2 years.
Exactly. I agree with you.
The French point guard is special, but he's probably the second best, maybe third best European prospect out of the top 5, which I'm not even sure how to connect all that top 5 right now, but I know Nico Magnon from Arizona is pretty good. He's their Italian point guard, and he just put his name in the draft.
Yeah, it will be an interesting draft. First, the draft should take place in any constellation possible.
Yeah, and of course, moments ago we heard Yamadal has put his name in the NBA draft. I think it's too early. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but he's just giving it a try, let's say, meaning second round pick, if at all. So if not this time, in a year or two.
Yeah, and of course another prospect for the NBA. I mean, he might be ready. Yovel Zusman. Defensively, he's there. Offensively, not quite.
Yeah, and he was in last year's draft, but he was undrafted, as we know.
And he had a good summer league with Cleveland, but
yeah.
Not much better than that, unfortunately.
Maccabi made the most of it. That's
at
least some team gained.
Hopefully, he stays with Maccabi for a long time, or if he goes to the NBA and becomes a solid role player, that's a bonus for everyone, especially the Israeli national team. Because if you imagine Avdia, Zusman, and Baby Madal playing together, all coming over from the NBA, Israel could go places. We don't know. It's fun to think about, though.
Yeah. Especially now that the Eurobasket was postponed by 1 year.
Yeah, that's actually very good. Israel could have 3 NBA players by then. The most they've ever had is 2 playing alongside each other, which was Mekil and Caspi.
Exactly.
And so, yeah. So now, second this segment is over. We will move on to the third and discuss Luka and Giannis coming up next. Back here on Sports Around the Globe with Shai Boker alongside Ryan Kelovich. You're back with us for our final segment of this Corona edition, Sports Around the Globe. So now we're going to talk about two European players who are stars in the NBA. One of them for 7 years, and the other one for a year and a half so far. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Luka Doncic.
Yeah, two great players. One who we know a little better than the other, as Doncic was here when he was young, played in the Eurobasket. We got to see him, so great prospect.
Yeah, I mean, people did not want to. I mean, teams did not want to draft him to number 1 overall because he came from Europe. To me, that is the biggest mistake I have seen in a long time. Maybe since someone did not draft Michael Jordan. I'm not putting them in the same sentence or comparing those two, but as far as talent goes, why would you pick someone else over Luka, considering all that Luka has accomplished before 18 years old, going into the NBA? He was dominating Europe.
Exactly. It seems like NBA people sometimes, they used to have a stigma about European basketball, and that's the only reason why Luka Doncic wasn't thought of by some teams.
Yeah, I mean, Luka, by all means, should always have been the number 1 pick. Giannis Antetokounmpo should have been a top 5 considering what he's accomplished in his career. Your thoughts?
Yeah, once again, a player who was in Europe. It's the same rationale behind it.
Yeah, he came from the ACB, if I'm not mistaken. Nobody knew who he was, though. Before that draft, I never heard of him. Then I saw him dunking against the Celtics a couple times, and I was like, okay, this kid is going to be a player. Now he's an MVP. He's led his team to the ECF. I mean, nobody thinks if the Bucks is good unless they have Giannis. And he's their difference maker. Same thing goes for Luka and the Dallas Mavericks. They'd be going nowhere without him. Who has the higher ceiling?
I think Luka somehow.
Why?
Because of the fact that he was so good in his first season, and as well in the half season we saw until now. I see him going all the way.
Yeah, I believe Luka has a higher ceiling too. I mean, he's got more skills than Giannis. Giannis is long and athletic, can shoot on occasion. He's not a great shooter by any means. Luka, from his first year in 2016-17 in the EuroLeague, has transformed himself from a good passer and rebounder into one of the best scorers in the world so quickly. And he's only 21. I got to see him firsthand in Tel Aviv in the 2016-17 season. He only had 2 points at the free throw line. But still, I don't know why. I just felt that I was impressed by that guy. And now we all know why.
Yeah, he made an impression as well, even though he didn't play so much against Maccabi.
Yeah, there are rumors that right after the game he had to go to McDonald's and buy his entire team Big Macs. after their
As
win
the
in
young
Tel
guy.
Aviv. Rookie hazing, huh?
Yeah.
As far as triple doubles go between these two, Luka has 22 in 126 games. Giannis, who has put up monstrous triple doubles at times in the last 2 seasons, has 18 for his career in 457 games. But let's
Those
not.
numbers of
Yeah, he's had so many games where he's been either an assist or a rebound away from a triple double. It's same thing for Luka. How are these European
amazing
players so
stats.
good? How are they able to translate their game to such a high level?
It seems like European basketball is a good place to start, and from there they just lifted off to the NBA.
Yeah, of course, Luka has done so many things. Of course, EuroLeague MVP, EuroLeague Final Four MVP, 2 Rising Star Awards, Eurobasket champion with Slovenia at 18 years old, despite even having a sprained ankle during the tournament. He still dominated big names like Teodosic, Bogdanovic, Nikola Jokic. I mean, he beat Serbia up in the finals. That is hard to do considering you have no names on your team besides Goran Dragic. And he still wasn't the number 1 pick in the draft, even though what he did. Though I believe, that was the season before he entered the NBA draft that he dominated.
True.
I don't know how you don't select him as number 1 after seeing such a great performance. Him beating very good teams. I'll even put Latvia as a good team because of Porzingis. He dominated him. He dominated everybody, almost on his own, to bring Slovenia their first ever European Championship. And then 2 years later, because he's not playing for them and he's playing in the NBA, they didn't even make the World Cup. It's such a huge difference. I don't know how a player can have such a big effect. At least I haven't seen a player have such a great effect on his team, other than Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron. Where would their teams be without them? And I guess same thing goes for Slovenia with Luka.
We're with them.
Yeah. Of course, the Bucks would be nowhere without Giannis, but the Greek national team could go places even without Giannis. I mean,
Exactly.
they have so many great names, including Nikolaifis, Yorgis Plentezis, Spanolis, who's probably retired from the national team, Kostas Lukas, who will forever be angry with himself for that missed free throw against Brazil in the previous World Cup. Thanks for tuning in to Sports Around the Globe with Shai Boker. Shai Boker and Roy Yankelovich saying goodnight. And next to show is sometime in the near future. Thanks for
See you
tuning
next
in.
time. Thank you. It was a pleasure.